Roy Miller, a spy on the run, and June Havens, a car restoration expert. Miller observes Havens and unexpectedly encounters her a few times while navigating security at Wichita Airport. Although she has a confirmed flight reservation, she learns at the gate that the flight is overbooked. Miller, who manages to board, whispers to her that sometimes things happen for a reason. Unbeknownst to Havens, Federal Agent Fitzgerald is monitoring Miller and, suspecting Havens is an accomplice, adds her back to the flight list. Once on the plane, Havens notices only 4 or 5 other passengers. She relaxes with a drink and shares her dream of someday driving to Cape Horn, while Miller discreetly observes the others. Feeling charmed, she heads to the restroom to freshen up. While she's away, Miller is ambushed by the remaining passengers and crew, whom he swiftly neutralizes, including the pilots. When Havens returns, Miller calmly informs her that everyone on board is dead, which she initially thinks is a joke. However, during a bout of turbulence, she sees the bodies slumped in their seats. Miller manages to land the plane on a highway, but skids off into a cornfield while avoiding a semi-truck. He hands Havens a drink and warns her that she might be questioned by officials, advising her not to get into any vehicles with them or go to a supposed safe location. After Miller administers a knockout drug, she loses consciousness and later wakes up at home, surrounded by clues suggesting Miller ensured her safety. Havens spends the day trying on bridesmaid dresses for her sister April's wedding. While discussing what to do with their dad's GTO, she is taken aback when April reveals her intention to sell the car. Lured out of the shop, she is confronted by a group posing as FBI agents, who assure her of her safety as they drive her away. They show her files related to Miller and question her to see if she is involved with him. Just then, Miller arrives, and in a flurry of gunfire and acrobatics, he rescues Havens. Confused about whom to trust, Havens escapes to the fire station, where her ex-boyfriend Rodney works. After hearing her story, he assumes she is just stressed about the wedding and takes her out for pie. While they are talking, Miller shows up and kidnaps Havens, handcuffing her and shooting Rodney in the leg. He tells Rodney that this incident will make him an overnight hero and could secure his promotion to lieutenant. Miller reassures Havens that she'll be safer with him, and she agrees to accompany him to pick up Simon Feck, a brilliant inventor of a perpetual energy battery called the Zephyr.
Really? Simon Feck.
They arrive at a safe house in Brooklyn, only to find Feck missing, but he has left clues indicating he can be found on a train in Austria. Suddenly, they are ambushed by men working for Antonio, a Spanish arms dealer. After Miller drugs Havens again, she drifts in and out of consciousness during their capture and subsequent escape. Miller takes her to a secluded island he calls home, which is off the grid. Frustrated, Havens wanders the island and discovers a message on Miller's cell phone with a Boston address. While she examines it, her own phone rings, displaying her sister's caller ID. When she answers, she inadvertently reveals their location to Antonio's men. They attempt to eliminate Miller and Havens using a remote-controlled drone. Once again, Miller knocks out Havens, this time with a neck pinch, and transports them to a train traveling through the Alps. When Havens awakens alone, she realizes she's missing a message from Miller. She heads to the dining car for breakfast and encounters Bernhard, a German assassin she mistakenly believes is Feck. As she discovers the message stuck to the bottom of her shoe, she realizes that Feck is actually with Miller, and Bernhard is not who she thought. Using the skills she learned from Miller, Havens manages to fend for herself, ultimately leading to Bernhard being knocked out of a window by Miller and killed by an oncoming train. Miller then secures a hotel room for Havens and Feck in Salzburg, Austria, before heading off to meet a mysterious and attractive woman. Curious, Havens follows him and overhears him making a deal to sell the Zephyr to Antonio. Shortly after, she is picked up by the CIA and meets the director of counterintelligence, who informs her that Miller is a rogue agent. He gives her a pen transmitter to signal when she's with Miller and the Zephyr. Miller reunites with Havens at the hotel and reveals the Zephyr, which is showing signs of overheating. Havens discreetly uses the pen to alert the agents, prompting Miller to remark that it hurts more than I thought it would. He then escapes to the rooftops. After leading the CIA agents on a thrilling chase, it appears Miller is shot and falls into the Salzach River. His body and the Zephyr are never recovered. Havens is sent home by the agents just in time for her sister's wedding. When she hears the song that Miller used as his ringtone, she recalls the address from his iPhone and decides to investigate. Upon arriving, she meets Miller's parents, who are unaware of their son's fate. They reveal that his real name is Matthew Knight, and they believe he, a former Army Ranger captain and Eagle Scout, is dead. The couple has unexpectedly become wealthy from lotteries and sweepstakes they can't recall entering. They mention that their son was an exceptional swimmer who could hold his breath for an incredible amount of time, which leads Havens to suspect that Miller is still alive. After leaving the Knights, Havens calls her voicemail and leaves a message stating that she has the Zephyr. However, she is soon captured by Antonio's men and taken to Spain. Under the influence of a truth serum, she becomes relaxed and happy, inadvertently revealing that Miller faked the sale of the Zephyr and his own death to allow her to return home. Realizing that she doesn't actually possess the Zephyr, Antonio concludes that the only way to obtain the device is to pay Fitzgerald, who has kidnapped Feck. Miller has been tracking Feck using a GPS app on his iPhone and unexpectedly finds Havens at the Spaniard's compound just as she is about to be executed. He swoops in to rescue her. Under the influence of truth serum, she confesses her love for him. After advising her to hydrate to counter the serum's effects, Havens misinterprets his demeanor, believing he isn't happy to see her. Amidst the gunfire, he approaches her, reassures her that he is indeed happy, and kisses her. They then chase Fitzgerald and Feck on a motorcycle. Navigating through the chaos of the running of the bulls, during which Antonio is trampled to death by the bulls. Meanwhile, Fitzgerald manages to escape in an Icon, a 5 amphibious plane with the now extremely unstable Zephyr. As Miller saves Feck, he is shot in the chest. Feck notes the battery's volatility, and as they watch the plane ascend, the battery explodes, killing Fitzgerald. Miller collapses from his gunshot wound, but later awakens in a hospital. The director apologizes to him, explaining that he has exposed a corrupt team. Concerned about Havens, Miller learns she has returned home, but the director warns him that he must forget her to continue his work. He also mentions that the agency will transfer you to a secure facility tomorrow for your safety, echoing the same warning he had given Havens. As they prepare to leave, a nurse enters to administer Miller's medication. He quickly realizes he has been drugged, but then is stunned to see that the nurse is Havens. Miller awakens in the classic car that once belonged to Havens' father. When he asks what day it is, Havens kisses him and replies that it's someday, referencing their earlier conversation on the plane about her lifelong dream. She drives off along a coastal road, passing a signpost for Cape Horn. In the final scene, Roy's mother informs her husband that they have just received 2 tickets to Cape Horn. Although she blames him for mistakenly ordering them, she insists they go. Don't forget, your support is appreciated.